Want to know why? Ask how. Howard the Humongous. A few years ago, I made a YouTube with a theory about Donald Trump. A theory explaining some of the peculiarities of Trump's behavior when he hangs out with Vladimir Putin. You remember way back in July 16, 2018, when Trump met with Putin for 2 hours in Helsinki with no one else but the translator, Marina Gross, in the room. And even the translator was sworn to secrecy. What did Trump and Putin discuss? We may never know. Trump has made sure that the translator's notes from all of his 5 face-to-face meetings with Vladimir Putin have not gone into the government record and have not been shared with his own cabinet members. But there were clues to the Trump-Putin relationship in Trump's body language when the two held a press conference after their talk in Helsinki. Putin was self-contained, self-controlled, and gruff. Trump was not. He simpered, he cowered, he flattered, he was obsequious, he became utterly sycophantic, as if Putin were his master and he were the slave. Then Trump followed this up with a series of astonishing giveaways to Putin. He weakened the Western alliance, he made NATO seem non-existent, he alienated leaders like Germany's Angela Merkel and Canada's Justin Trudeau. He gave away the entire Middle Eastern sphere of influence to Russia. He announced that he would withdraw 9,500 troops from Germany without discussing it with the Germans. He forced the counterintelligence wing of the CIA that tracks Russian spying and manipulation in the USA to hand over their top secrets to the Kremlin. He looked the other way while Russia provided sophisticated weapons to Afghanistan's Taliban. He claimed the Mueller report on Russian interference in the US elections was a hoax and did his best to eliminate any defense against Russia's sabotage of the upcoming 2020 presidential elections. And when our intelligence agencies said that Russia had offered a bounty of up to $100,000 a head to the Taliban to kill Americans, Donald Trump ignored it. Why all these giveaways? Some suspected that Trump must secretly be on Moscow's payroll. They guessed that either the Russians had information on Trump that they could use to blackmail him, or that Trump must be making a profit from his Russian connections. Then there was the possibility that Trump was setting himself up to make those profits after he left the presidency, assuming he would ever willingly leave the White House. But there was another possibility. The alternative scenario looks like this. Trump was one of the biggest bullies in the schoolyard in New York real estate. But there was a club of bullies even higher on the bad boy totem pole. This was the clique of bullies, so successful that they ran entire countries. Dictators like Xi Jinping of China, Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey, and Rodrigo Duterte of the Philippines. That club was far loftier than the ones in which Donald Trump was a potential king. Trump lusted after membership in that group of dictatorial tough guys, but there was no chance that he'd ever gain entry. Then he won the presidency and suddenly had access to this ultimate club of governmental thugs. In Donald's mind, the head of the bully elite was Vladimir Putin. In fact, Trump had been wooing Vladimir Putin ever since his Miss Universe pageant in Moscow in 2013. But Putin had resolutely ignored him. Now that he was president, Trump was willing to do anything to gain not just acceptance in the club, but Putin's favor. Remember, there is something that means more to us humans than money. It's pecking order prestige. And to Trump, Putin's acceptance was the ultimate form of pecking order climb. But now a new explanation for Donald Trump's sycophancy has appeared. It comes via early comments from press people who were given advance access to the new book by Donald Trump's niece, Mary Trump, a PhD psychologist. The new explanation goes like this. Donald Trump is not just making submission gestures to Vladimir Putin because he wants admission to the club of arch bullies, the select elite of dictators. Trump sees an echo in Putin of his father. And Trump wants that father figure's approval. He wants it badly. What are the tip-offs to this possible father figure hypothesis? Here are a few lines from the Washington Post's commentary on Mary Trump's tell-all family secret book. Says the Post, in the Trump family, quote, cruelty was passed down like an heirloom rocking chair from generation to generation. The Post continues, Mary Trump revealed a fundamental truth. The president was twisted by father-son psychodrama, and her telling Donald Trump's character was warped by a desperate desire to win the nearly unattainable approval of his father, Fred Trump Sr. Nothing, including lying or cheating, was considered out of bounds. Mary Trump claims Donald Trump even enlisted a smarter kid to take his SATs for him. Explains the Post, all of which Mary Trump lays at the feet of her grandfather, Fred Trump. By limiting Donald's access to his own feelings and rendering many of them unacceptable, says the Post, Fred perverted his son's perception of the world and damaged his ability to live in it. She, Mary Trump, wrote, Donald Trump's father, says the Washington Post sneak peek at Mary Trump's book, drilled heartlessness and cruelty into Donald as a young man. Key to all of this is the story of Donald's older brother, Fred. Fred was good-looking, but had a flaw. He was funny and warm-hearted. And funny and warm-hearted was not what Frederick Trump wanted in his sons. Frederick Trump, the father of Donald and Freddie, told his three sons they had to be killers. Freddie tried to be a killer, but just couldn't make the grade. He entered his father's real estate business, and his father found him wanting. When Freddie did something bad, his father would bawl him out and humiliate him in public. But when the young Freddie did something good, his father would say nothing. It was clear that Freddie just wasn't the kind of tough guy his father wanted. Not at all. So Freddie Jr. took to alcohol and died of an alcohol-related disease at the age of 42. When he went into the hospital to die, his younger brother Donald did not accompany him. Trump's older brother Freddie died alone without a single member of his family while Donald was in a movie theater watching a film. Young Donald was desperate to avoid Freddie's fate. He worked hard to be the killer tough guy his father had wanted. When he was only 7, he socked his music teacher in the face. Despite the fact that he was only a child, he punched so hard that he gave the teacher a black eye. His complaint about the music teacher was similar to the complaints he makes today about experts. He said of his teacher, I didn't think he knew anything about music. How could a 7-year-old know this? Only through ignorance and arrogance. The young Donald apparently already had the first signs of believing himself to be the ultimate authority, the solitary genius. When someone did something Donald disliked, he got even, or more than even. In fact, Trump's father admired young Donald and Donald's path to toughness. He called Donald his killer and his king, but that praise did not come easy. The family environment was competitive as hell. Author Gwenda Blair explains in her book, The Trumps, 3 Generations of Builders and a President, that watching what happened between his father and his older brother, Donald saw that cowering when his father got mad only made him angrier, that hanging around with people who seemed more pointy-headed and intellectual than practical caused his father to fly into a rage, and that showing any vulnerability around his father was a mistake. Blair adds that Donald would have to show his father that he was every bit as tough as he was, that whenever anyone pushed him, he would push right back and harder. Fred Trump wanted tough people. That was his bottom line. And to repeat, as Blair says, he urged his sons to be killers. According to Blair, who has written 3 books on Trump, he would have to show that he was the killer his father had wanted. No wonder Donald Trump writes in one of his books, I wanted to be the toughest kid in the neighborhood. And no wonder when he saw 2 murderous gangs of juvenile delinquents, the Sharks and the Jets, in the film West Side Story, Donald Trump and a friend subwayed from Queens into Manhattan to buy switchblade knives. That was the move that convinced Donald's parents to send him to military school, something you only did with upper-class kids who were in danger of becoming low-class street hoodlums. There was one more lesson from Fred Trump that Donald would never forget. Quote, "Let nothing and nobody stand in your way. Demolish your opponents." According to another author, Dan McAdams, quote, "Fred did more than merely respect Donald. He saw potential greatness in his favorite son. Donald was a natural-born killer." So it wouldn't be surprising if Donald Trump sees hints of his father in Vladimir Putin. And it wouldn't be surprising if Trump panders, simpers, gives gifts, and unilaterally gives away information vital to our national security to get approval from the ultimate tough guy, a tough guy like his father. That tough guy is Vladimir Putin. This is Howard Bloom speaking to you from the future. It's your job and my job to make, or want to know why, ask how. And now for that infamous, simpering, sneezing, sleazy, slimy, sneaky, hiding little off button. I think I've got it.